In our big story today, reaction pouring in after President Trump made an address to the nation touting his record on the economy, his accomplishments over the past year, and outlining goals for the remainder of his term. Trump today is gearing up to sign a massive defense package that lays out military programs and provisions amid bipartisan concern over the administration's actions against Venezuela. So joining me now for more on this and other big stories out of the nation's capital, Democratic Congressman from Maine, Shelley Pingree. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time. And first, I want to get your reaction to the president's address last night.
Yeah, I think I was horrified, like so many other people in the nation. It's become commonplace for this president to tell lies and to try to do like a sales pitch to convince us of things that we know in our gut aren't true. Americans are facing increasing prices for food, for housing, childcare, and now we have this incredible healthcare cliff going on because the Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act's tax credits. So people know things are not going well. They think we're headed into a recession. You can see it in the polling and you can just hear it from your friends and neighbors. And the president is saying, hey, just want you to know, I am perfect. Everything's gone well. Any problems that you have are still Biden's fault, even though he pretends Biden is just an auto pen and not even a real person. But, I think it just sounds like this sort of mishmash of lies and hucksterism. And I don't think it went over very well.
Well, but earlier we heard House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries say that this year has been a disaster. We've got new polling out from Quinnipiac that shows that nearly 3/4 of Americans disapprove of the job that Democrats are doing in Congress. I'm curious, is this cause for concern ahead of the midterm elections?
Well, look, I'm an elected official. We are always concerned about how the public views our work, and we do our best to stay in touch with them as much as we possibly can. I think that's very reflective of the fact that people have just thrown up their hands and said, why doesn't government get anything done? And it is very frustrating. We were shut down for over 40 days. Now the Republicans are blocking these healthcare tax credits, and people are facing huge crisis back at home, worrying about whether or not they'll even have healthcare covered or whether they can afford to have it in the future. So Democrats are doubling down. I think we've really put our message forward in this healthcare fight and said, we're willing to stay here. We've got this discharge petition that we were able to move forward on the floor. We're using every strategy that we can. So we can't take anything for granted. But if they're worried about the Democrats, they are extremely worried about the president. And he presents such a chaotic mess. I don't think the Republicans are going to do well in the midterms. We just have to keep up the hard work.
Well, but I want to ask you specifically about healthcare because, listen, what's interesting about Maine is that, congressionally, your representatives were almost split, even amongst Dems on whether to reopen the government or whether or not to be steadfast. I know you thought it was contrition to acquiesce and reopen the government, but I'm curious, do you think Democrats going forward come January, if we're up against another potential shutdown, do you think they'll all be on the same page then?
I think Democrats have been 100% united on this healthcare issue. I mean, we had every Democrat on the discharge petition, and yesterday 4 Republicans grew a spine, and they joined us. So when it comes to healthcare, I don't think there's any question. Now, I'm certainly hoping we don't have to face another Republican shutdown at the end of January. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. We are working hard to move these bills forward and trying to work as closely as we can with Republicans who have a lot of ridiculous commands going on from their side of the aisle and from the Trump administration. But we want to make sure we don't have another government shutdown. I don't think it's fair to align those two things, our steadfast support of healthcare and covering people's healthcare costs or making it affordable, and this crazy Republican shutdown because they didn't want to face what needed to be done.
I hear you. I also want to ask you, because the president's handpicked board just voted to rename the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. You've been leading the fight against that. I'm curious, what comes next for you?
Well, we're in the middle of this appropriations process, and if we need to, we'll try to insert some language in the appropriations bill. But let's just be 100% clear. The Kennedy Center idea was started by Eisenhower back in the 50s. It was taken over by JFK when he was assassinated and the building was nearing completion. Johnson decided, along with a bipartisan vote of Congress, it should be named for JFK. It is our living memorial to JFK. And I think it's important people understand that. He believed in the arts. He believed in creativity. He believed in the huge power of being together and celebrating our great culture and the talent in the United States, as well as many foreign countries. But the point is, this would be like saying, I'm going to rename the Jefferson Memorial for Barack Obama. You just don't do that. This is our living memorial. It is in statute. He had no power to do that. We know this president acts illegally all the time, but we will make it very clear if we have to in this appropriations bill, they can't change the name. And my colleagues and I will just stand out there with a can of paint. And if he tries to put up his gilded letters and call it the Trump Center, we'll be up there to paint it over, because he cannot do this. And this is just going to be yet another outrage of one more thing the president thinks he can do, like tearing down the East Wing of the White House. I mean, we hear about this every day, defunding the arts, defunding our cultural institutions. It's just not right. It's outrageous.
Congresswoman Pingree, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.